And in today's video, we're going to talk about the Flash movie. They have finally screened the final cut, and it isn't actually much different, just like your boy War Stew said. Also, we're going to talk about the Batman Brave and Bold, new information that is premature, because during a writer's strike, not much development can happen on any project. So, what is freaking good, YouTube? War Stew here. If you're new around it, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, pop culture based content that I personally try to deliver on a daily basis. You could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know. Are you hyped for the Flash movie? Also, if you could, check us out on Instagram at War Stew. Also, check us out on Twitter, WarStewG. Right. Let's get into this movie. So, if you remember, Andy and Barbara Machete have been hyping. They've been hyperbolic. They've been hyping the Flash movie up so much, which they should do. It's their movie. Well, it's a studio's movie. But they've been hyping up the final cut to be so different that it's gonna blow you away. And then I look at the reactions to the actual final cut. Bear in mind, I told you what the post-credit scene was gonna be in the ending, and basically had it confirmed that it's true. But they would say fans will not be disappointed. You won't be disappointed with the real ending. And then I see a few reactions from a few people that I quite like and quite trust their opinion on things, realistically. So, Chris Parker from 3C Films, one of the best YouTubers in the pop culture game, in my opinion, had this to say. Finally got to watch the finished cut of The Flash, and I still think it's an amazing DC comic book movie. My only complaint still falls with the CGI. CGI. They delayed the movie by 8 months. There is no excuse for the CGI not to be finished in the final cut. They delayed the movie. They've had 8 months. They've been working on this movie since 2014. Well, realistically, they have. Rushed final villain and now the ending. So it seems to me like his opinion's actually worse of the movie, although he still really likes it. Now they've added the final ending to it, which isn't really much different, just like I said it wouldn't be. It's a funny gag, but slightly odd and a pretty useless post-credit. That aside, I adore the film. So, confirmed, post-credit scene and ending confirmed with some random stuff that has nothing to do with anything. But he went on to answer some questions from some people on his Twitter. I wouldn't say changed. The first cut I saw just had the movie end like 30 seconds earlier. The final ending continues where mine left off. So, when I kept saying the final cut would not be much different, it wasn't much different. Like 30 seconds-ish, maybe. So, it's all right to say, yeah, fans won't be disappointed and you're not going to see the final cut until the 16th. Well, it actually comes out here in the UK on the 14th and advanced screeners are on the 15th. So they will be showing this final cut. It is very disappointing that a movie that was delayed by just under a year doesn't have great VFX and great CGI. I know what you're going to say. A movie is so much more than CGI and VFX. Yeah. That is true. But when you know this is a multiversal movie, when you know the Flash has to run and you know Supergirl's in this movie, you know it's going to be CGI heavy. And when you're watching trailers and TV spots with CGI and VFX that's not close to finish and looks very bad, sure, it's not going to take away your interpretation and your impression and your overall thoughts of the movie, but you would have thought 8 months longer and they've still not had it finished. The CGI is still not finished. Chris did go on to say, when asked this, so is Across the Spider-Verse still your favourite comic book movie this year? Oh yeah, Flash is still one of the great comic book movies. It's just also a very competitive year with Spider-Verse and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So this is interesting because he's right. There is a lot of really good movies coming out this month and it is such a bad month to release it. They should just delay it. Why? Because Across the Spider-Verse is being hyped as the greatest movie ever. Some people are putting it above the Dark Knight trilogy, and it's got one of the highest IMDb scores. It's got one of the highest Rotten Tomatoes score. It's really got high scores everywhere and did over $200 million opening weekend. I'm probably going to have the biggest heel turn because everyone seems to think I hate The Flash, even though The Flash is in my intro, outro, banner, logo. This YouTube channel started on The Flash. What do I mean by that? Everyone seems to think I'm going to hate this movie. No, if this movie is very good, I will tell you it. I might have the biggest heel turn ever. So Grace Randolph, my good friend, said this: one of the best DC movies ever. Someone's trying to get their quote on a trailer. Or, oh, it's too late for that. That's already happened. So a lot of these reactions are pretty generic. Let's go over a few. The Flash movie is a stellar time-traveling epic that's emotional, amusing, and filled with fan service. It's a must-watch for DC fans who grew up with the films. Avoid the spoilers because it would be a crime to miss the magnificent film in theaters. Okay, the problem with all these reactions are they are pretty basically saying the same thing. Holy cow, people weren't lying. The Flash movie is incredible from start to finish. Giant love letter to DC and its fans. Easily the best film they've put out in years. Okay, let's go over the films they've put out last year. The Suicide Squad, I liked. Black Adam, I liked. Shazam 2, I liked. Wonder Woman 1984. Realistically, none of these are great movies. Realistically, if you're going to be critical. So to say one of the best DC movies they've put out in such a long time, I don't really think they've put out a strong, solid DC movie since the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix Joker was probably the last solid movie. I'm not going to count Zack Snyder's Justice League movie because that was an HBO Max release, but it does seem like a lot of people like the Flash movie. So, also in the news. This was obvious. So Andy Muschietti on directing Batman Brave and the Bold. We would love to. We can't speak about these things, but it feels like a very exciting possibility. We're part of the family. Batman Muschietti added. So the news came out that he's directing Batman Brave and the Bold, and people are like, yeah, it's justified because have you seen them Batman scenes? Okay, cool story, bro. It's also Michael Keaton. It's also Ben Affleck Batman. They are established Batman already. It's a freaking crime that we're not going to get to see Joe Manganiello Deathstroke versus Ben Affleck Batman that everybody wants. But hopefully they can bring Joe Manganiello Deathstroke into Batman Brave and the Bold. I think this is a real premature move. So we know the writer's strike's going on. So realistically, no development is going on. And also, apparently, we've got a writer. We've also got a writer for Batman Brave and the Bold, which is also, again, not actually factually true. So a story went around that the same person that penned Birds of Prey, Bumblebee, and The Flash, Christina Hodson, I don't know what she's got over Warner Bros., but I don't think she's that great of a writer. So let me get it straight. You're saying you've hired a writer, you've hired a director during a writer's strike. Legally, systematically, that is false. Now, I know Humberto Gonzalez is not the most reliable person, but he is true when he says there is no deal for either given the WGA strike. And then viewer anon says Humberto is of course correct, but his wording here is very specific for a reason. Yeah, there's a writer's strike on. I really don't understand why people believe this information. There's no news going to come out during a writer's strike to do with any developments realistically. So, a viewer anon went on to say this. It's my understanding, and I trust people I've talked to about this. The Muschietis are at least 100% in. It's just a matter of respecting the writer's strike. Work won't begin until it's resolved. Well, that's Captain Obvious. I feel like sometimes these Twitter scoopers or insiders realistically come out and say the most obvious thing. And then the internet goes, oh my God, they just said this, they just said that. When Andy Muschietti said we can't speak about if we're going to direct Batman Brave and Bold, it was pretty obvious that he was either in talks or had discussions about the Batman Brave and Bold. So obvious, to be honest. So also in the news recently, the Across the Spideyverse people, Lord and Miller, had something to say about their cut and their version of the Flash movie that would have been, obviously, they didn't go forward with it. It seems like it would have been a better storyline because it was actually closer to the real Flashpoint story. So Lord and Miller were actually hired in 2015 to write a treatment of the film and spent time looking at what then DC Godfather Zack Snyder had planned for his universe. It did involve time travel, but it was not a multiversal story. So I think it's safe to say that this is its own unique thing, says Miller, not to be confused with Ezra Miller, not him, who has not seen the new Flash movie. There are definitely some things that were in the trailers that I've seen that were similar to things that are in our treatment, but I'm certain that from what I know now of the story, it seems quite different. So basically saying the version they penned in 2015 was much closer to the real Flashpoint storyline, which, yeah, sure, Barry was in a universe that he created when his mother was still alive, but it wasn't a multiversal story. It was a story about timelines. So realistically, I think this version would have been much better because we probably would have got Thomas Wayne. We probably would have got the movie that most people wanted. We probably would have got the Reverse Flash. For one. So that is disappointing that we could have got the Thomas Wayne version with them, but they've just had a banger with Across the Spideyverse, which is being dubbed as one of the greatest comic movies ever, and I think it is the best Spider-Man movie ever, to be honest. Just a massive shame we're never going to have a live-action version of the Flashpoint Paradox. So, Grace Randolph let's extend to what she actually said. Ha! The Flash movie is amazing, so funny and charming. Reminds me of Dinny and Timmy animated series. Might want to snag those tack so you don't miss it. Opening weekend, seeing is believing. So what is everyone on about? What is the post-credit? Careful for spoilers though, I am literally a walking spoiler. George Clooney appears in this movie as a Batman in some random universe. And then we have a conversation between Ezra Miller, the Flash, and Jason Momoa, Aquaman. That's why Jason Momoa is going to be at the premiere, or isn't. The article was really condescending. It said he wasn't going to be there, and then it kind of said he was. So it is very interesting how this top secret ending, and they're only doing one premiere in LA because they don't want it to get out, even though the information we actually went over about said post-credit scene that was probably a few days ago now, was actually true and accurate. So the whole Ezra Miller's only turned up to one premiere is actually a studio mandate because they don't want Ezra Miller to be bombarded with questions that he can't answer. So the movie literally ends with George Clooney being Batman. Clooney's face is shown in the final scene of the movie. Post-credit scenes, Barry and Arthur are at a bar talking about the multiverse. Barry mentions how Batman represents the same thing across the multiverse, but is different people. Arthur asks him about, and Barry says they're all the same. But we've never seen him in any other universe, so I don't understand how Barry knows that. The universe he spent the most amount of time in recently is the Keatonverse. Aquaman was dead or not born or something. Arthur falls over drunk and asks Barry for another drink and flips him an Atlanta treasure to pay for it. Barry wishes he could get drunk because his metabolism is so fast it doesn't let him. So that's probably why a lot of people are saying the ending is pretty stupid and irrelevant and isn't going to go anywhere. If you think George Clooney is going to be the DC Universe's new Batman, nah, it's not happening. So pointless. They could have teased something. They could have teased the Reverse Flash. They could have teased the new Batman, revealed the new Batman, revealed the new Superman. But it looks like a wasted throwaway post-credit scene for no literal reason. So unless there is any more hidden secrets that I've not heard about or anyone hasn't reported, no Grant Gustin, no Reverse Flash, no War Stew cameo, although I don't know, I've not actually seen it, so I could be in the courthouse scene, maybe, I don't know. But by that, I mean one of the people walking outside the courthouse, if I presume that scene's in the final movie. I could be there, I might not be there, but let me know if you see me there. I don't know until I actually see the movie. And once I've seen the movie, I will give you a full review, breakdown, what I thought. I will be honest and transparent. Unlike most of the other reactions online, I will be honest like I always am. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram, @WarStew. Please follow me over there. I've got like 12 followers. Check us out on Twitter, WarStewG. I've got like 2 followers over there. And also, if you could, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. Who would you cast as a new Batman in the DCU? The new Superman and the new Flash, because Ezra Miller's he is not getting a second movie. Even if this movie bangs 1.5 billion, it ain't gonna happen. And also the Flash script has been written for Flash 2. Kind of irrelevant because the DCU wasn't even a thing. There wasn't a new universe that was coming. It was like a soft reboot, I guess you could say. It's gonna set up Crisis or Batfleck going, yo, Ezra Miller, Flash, we need your help. But they kind of scrapped all that. I wish they could show it at some point. That would be cool because Ben Affleck's not in this movie half as much as he should be. So like always, guys, I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.